Pretty much everybody here. So let's get started. For anybody who may not know me already, I know we pretty much know each other, but I don't interact with everybody on a daily basis. So I'm Kevin. My topic this morning is unused employee potential. uh, in case anybody can't read that over there, there is untapped potential in all of us. Hopefully the same thing.
Nobody really knows.
We'll kick things off with grateful and proud of. I haven't really stepped up and said anything on any of these just yet, so I'll lead us off. I celebrate a wedding anniversary this weekend, another year with my amazing wife. So I'm very grateful for her and all the things she's done for me over the years and continues to do, and obviously look forward to many more years with her. Does anybody have anything else? Anybody? Casey?
I'm coaching my kids' soccer team, unfortunately, this year.
Unfortunately.
Yes. Some kids and no one listens. To my amazement, last night in practice, one of my kids was going up and listening. Yeah.
I got one that stems back to my son with catching in baseball the other day. So he caught after not wanting to and kind of throwing a thing about it. But so he caught last weekend and then he came home and he said, "Dad, I really enjoyed that. I want to do it again." So I wanted us to reach out to the coach and ask if he can catch first at the next game. So I thought that was pretty cool.
Those are all
Tell them no, handle your own problems.
Yeah.
always good little proud parent moments.
See, you learn how to advocate for yourself, son.
Anything else?
I'm proud of my daughter. She's working her second week at Palmetto Farms and she is work motivated.
Very cool.
Getting up fun.
Cool. That's a fun place.
I'm grateful that printer's not.
RIP to the printer.
Rest in power, King.
All right, so as we roll into the first slide here, unused employee potential. What is unused employee potential? Put it very simply, this is the unused or underutilized skills, talents, and knowledge of each and every one of us here. I think it kind of speaks for itself. It's pretty obvious. If it's unused, it's unused. So if you have skills, if you have talents, things like that, that aren't being utilized in your day-to-day, that's unused employee potential. And hopefully we can find a way to utilize it and benefit from it moving forward. This is a quote from, sorry, I'm going to back us up one here. Just a little note that I put at the bottom of it here. This is the 8th and final waste in our series of wastes. I put this note down here just as a reminder. I found it kind of interesting when I was looking. Toyota and Japan in general is kind of considered like the mecca of all of this lean stuff. And Toyota in the TPS, Toyota Production System, didn't actually seem to recognize untapped employee potential as one of the 8 wastes. As you can see in a lot of the acronyms, I just put the Tim Wood in there. Also, that's going to be a 7-letter acronym, kind of speaks to the same thing. So not really recognizing it as one of the 8 wastes. I found that interesting because of this quote that comes from Ryan Tierney, the host of the Lean Made Simple podcast that I think most of us have probably seen at this point. The biggest waste in any organization is the waste of untapped employee genius or untapped employee potential and ideas. If you're not using the ideas of all of us here, then those are just kind of going to waste. And whether you think it, believe it or not, we all have great ideas. You can kind of start to see some of that already rolling out as we lean into this process and kind of get to benefit from it and improve our own workspaces. So what causes untapped employee potential? I think one kind of just really simplified version of it is any of the other wastes, because they cause you to waste things like time, motion, and that is all time that you could be kind of spent working, doing the things that you're good at, the things you like to do, and the things that benefit us all here as a company. To go down the list, ignoring employee suggestions. I think we probably all had a moment, whether it's here or not, where we kind of thought we had a good idea or a suggestion. We shared it with somebody and it was maybe easily or quickly dismissed. Obviously, that idea kind of just goes right from your brain then into the trash, and you may be discouraged from sharing ideas in the future. So that could obviously cause some untapped potential there or unused potential. Unknown skills and talents. If you have skills, if you have talents, if you have even just interests or ideas, and nobody knows about them, then they're going to go unused. So that one I would encourage everybody to kind of talk about and share their skills and ideas so that they can be used moving forward. Yeah, absolutely.
So I think I would personally sum that up with one word, and I would probably call it culture. So I think kudos to Brian, because I think he's really trying to lead this. He's trying to move the lean culture forward. And I think that's really what we're trying to do here, is establish a new culture within JCR, right?
Yeah.
That helps to cultivate all the things that we've been talking about and so.
Yeah, absolutely. Lack of development. If we're not learning, if we're not growing, if we're not training, then we're kind of stagnating. Stagnant employees are not typically motivated employees or motivated people. You kind of just come in, you go through the motions. You're not really looking at how you can improve. You're just kind of trying to get things done and kind of move on. And then tribal knowledge, we've spoken on a few times this week. Obviously, tribal knowledge, if it's kind of just knowledge held in one person's brain or in one space that not everybody potentially has access to, then it can't be used by everybody. Not everybody can learn from it and grow using that knowledge. So what can we do as solutions? How can we solve this? How can we fix some of those things? Some of them we're already implementing. So providing a forum to share creative ideas, which we're obviously doing here in the meeting every single morning. I think we all can see how the WhatsApp chat is benefiting everybody, sharing the ideas and improvements we've done there. I think we've all probably seen improvements in one department that we then said, wow, this could use or be used or could work in our department as well. Along that same line of skills, talents, and interests, don't be afraid to share those. Once again, it doesn't have to be with management, but that's great as well. It can be with just the people around you. Word travels. So if somebody knows you're interested in something, they hear it across the building, there's a new position, a new opportunity, a new task that needs to get done, you might pop to mind and be able to jump in and do that. And if it's something you're interested in, that's great. It's going to be fun, new, and exciting for you. Train and share knowledge with those around us. We kind of already talked about it briefly as well, but just make sure that you're constantly trying to share your skills, share your knowledge, share the things you know with everybody else, which we're also tying into the next step here with what we've been doing with SOPs. So not all that knowledge is just staying in one place. I think Monty gave a good reference once already about potentially maybe it was Bryce being able to come back and run a machine using an SOP that he'd never really used before. And I know Brian has done that with several of these SOPs as well. So that's kind of taken the tribal knowledge out of things, allowed other people to learn those skills, learn those tasks, and be able to do them and implement them effectively. As an example, which is kind of what's hidden up at the top there, I kind of wanted to pick an unconventional one. So thank you, Tim, for the photos here. I think a lot of you might look at this and say, how does this represent unused or untapped employee potential? If you think about the way these were before, no way to identify each jig easily. How much time do you think somebody would spend, or maybe you guys can speak to this, coming over, looking at these sitting on a rack? Maybe they're not even organized neatly at the time, and you have to kind of dig through them, find which one's which. Maybe you grabbed the wrong ones. It's your first time doing this bumper or something. Obviously, that leads back into all the other defects that then create the other ways of motion, trying to fix those things. So now into the solution with the jigs easily identifiable. You can always come up and grab it, very easily visible. It's much more effective. You can add that number into the SOP. So if somebody's doing the bumper for the first time, they know for a fact which one of these to grab, and you're no longer wasting all of that time kind of rolling through all of those other 7 of the 8 wastes. And again, using your skills and talents and time effectively, not wasting your potential. Story time, the Morgan story. This is another example of it that's not a physical item that you sort of work on. And this one's always sort of fresh in my mind because it affected my day-to-day work. But as many of you may know, some of you may not, depending on when you started here, Morgan actually started out back in fab, doing all the things you fab guys do right now, building bumpers, building product, welding, grinding, and everything along the lines there. We also have a guy on staff that some of you may not have met yet, Cameron. We love him. He's great, but he decided to ride out west into the sunset and works remotely now. That wasn't great because, you know, we like Cameron a lot. He does a lot of valuable things for us, and we decided we wanted to keep him on staff, but it left a small void in some of those physical day-to-day tasks that he had to complete here. So we were able to then maybe give him some new tasks that he was able to complete remotely, but somehow we still had to fill those. If you've ever had to hire somebody or even just go get a job yourself or watch that whole process unfold, you can think about all of the resources that are wasted in hiring. You have to sit and sit through all of those potentially resumes, set an interview. Who knows how many people, maybe you hire the wrong person, have to kind of let them go, reset, go through that whole process all over again. So obviously you can see that's a ton of wasted time and potential there. Once again, always coming back to not being able to use your time for the things that you are good at and want to be doing. So Morgan had some of those skills to fill that void. She had vocalized that, I believe, with management, but also with people around her. So people kind of knew that, and we were able to pretty quickly and easily transition her across the parking lot over there into the marketing department. She could quickly help out and jump behind the camera, do a lot of the vinyl things and other various things to kind of fill that role once again and keep us rolling over there without much hiccup or speed bump along the way. So that's kind of a real life, I guess, idea or example of that. Kind of leads into one of the other things that I saw in researching this topic, which was flexible job roles. Just to very briefly speak on it, I think Bryce at one point was working up here in shipping, now working back there because he was able to grow and expand his role. And Colin, I believe, started out in shipping as well, is now working with the engineering team. So having
I started in the whiskey room.
there you go.
Like I was whiskey parts.
I think that's kind of happened as well with some of the people in powder coat moving around and things. So those flexible job roles allow you to kind of learn and explore other roles, kind of see what you're interested in, and then hopefully grow and use your talents to your full potential there. Being the eighth and final waste, it felt good to kind of shamelessly steal this slide from Chris Shattuck's presentation, so I didn't waste much time trying to redo it and just recap all of these really quick. So we're all going to hopefully continue to live these and learn these and keep them fresh in our minds, but defects, overproduction, waiting, unused talent, transportation, inventory, motion, and excess or over processing. I think we all probably at this point through the last 8 presentations can see how basically each one of these has like this huge trickle down effect where it sets all the others into motion. All of that time, one more time to kind of overstate it here. Anytime you're doing any of these, you're not using your talents and skills effectively, hence unused employee potential. In conclusion, I kind of had a conversation briefly with Brian Schrader the other day as I was over here in passing, and he mentioned something about this. So I did just a little bit more research on it. I wanted to just kind of see what the result might be. So a little fun game for me, but people typically retain around 50% of information presented during a meeting immediately after it ends. So I'm curious at this point to put everybody on the spot, if anybody can tell me what was noted on the very first slide and kind of that I shouted out right before we got rolling here.
The waste here isn't actually recognized by the Toyota.
Not entirely what I was getting at. That is a good one though.
It's noted, I guess.
Yeah, no, it was definitely noted in there, but at the very first slide, the kind of the welcome slide of this thing. And it's you did have it? That's, if there's anything that you guys take away from my meeting, if obviously you might forget some of it based on that statistic, I hope it's this fact right here that there is untapped potential in all of us. I believe it. I hope you guys do too. And once again, we're going to continue to grow and improve and increase and utilize our potential throughout this whole lean journey together. Does anybody have any questions at all or even anything they would like to share?
Just got one thing, Kevin, going back to the tribal
Knowledge, yeah.
Yeah, so when the quote that I did see on the video I watched is your SOPs need to become your tribal knowledge.
Yeah. Yeah, and then that kind of becomes accessible and shared by all of us once again, and allows us to learn and grow and expand into those paths potentially as it fits the organization.
I think, one thing Paul Akers said in one of the videos was, we don't come here every day to do the job, we come here every day to improve the job, so it's like that fits in really well here, right? So when you come to work with that mindset of, we don't know everybody has skills and talents, obviously, right? You guys are all awesome, and so on and so forth, but kind of think beyond that, right? Use your skills and talents to improve your role or improve the process that you're working in to make it better.
Absolutely. Nobody's got anything else. Just to recap the upcoming events, I know Alex shouted out some of these yesterday, but Bryce will lead us through value and non-value Monday, I believe. And then Ryan, Be the Customer, Casey, PDCA, Cameron, Muda, Mira, and Murray, and Tim, Respect. So we've got those up and coming. If nobody's got anything else, let's all have a good Friday.
Hey, good job, Kevin Bradshaw.
Thanks, Kevin.